All right, howdy folks. Today I'm going to be taking a look at these Icon sockets and also a couple Icon ratchets. These Icon sockets were picked up just this weekend for the Black Friday sale. They were all 40% off, which normally the price of these sockets would be about $140, but because they were on sale, 40% off, they were $84 for these. So I picked up a set of the 3/8 metric short and long, as well as a 1/4" metric short and long. Okay, starting out with the 1/4" drive. They have the same sizes, 5, 5.5, and then 6 through 14. So you get 11 with 1/2 size of the 5.5. Otherwise, there's no skips. You get every size. And these do come with a lifetime guarantee from Harbor Freight, of course, which is pretty nice. I've never personally had a socket fail, but I'm sure somebody has, and it's nice to have the lifetime warranty. They say thin wall design, designed to fit the most difficult fasteners. Chamfered openings for easy fastener and drive engagement. Shallow hex depth keeps fastener positioned near the end of deep sockets. Hardened chromoly steel for increased torque and strength. High polished finish, resists corrosion and stays clean. Easy to read size markings. Precision square drive for maximum torque. Some of that's just marketing jargon. Some of that's probably a little bit useful. And just in case you are curious, these are manufactured in Taiwan. I don't know exactly the name of the manufacturer, but I did read that these might be manufactured by Cabo Tools, Taiwanese manufacturing company. Apparently they also make Cornwell tools, as well as I'm sure a slew of other brands. And moving on to the 3/8 drive, also the metric, 12 in each. No half sizes this time, but you do get 8 all the way through 19. And I do think it's nice to have those larger sizes. The set that I have currently tops out at 17 for the 3/4" drive, and so it's kind of annoying because when working on a car, I find that 19 is a relatively common size, and it's annoying to have to go and grab my 1/2" set just to do the odd 19mm socket. So it's nice that they include that size. So the backs say the exact same stuff as the 1/4", also made in Taiwan. So we'll jump into the inside of these. So taking a look at the sockets themselves, starting out with the 1/4", they are all the same design, but take a look at the actual socket. It does have a slight undercut, rounded corner kind of thing going on. Kind of hard to see it, but that just prevents it from rounding over the corner of the fastener. I'm not sure exactly who originally came out with this design, maybe Snap-on, but just about everybody's doing it now. And they say it has an easy to read size indicator, but I don't know. I would think that maybe it should be a bit bigger if it was going to be that easy to read. But they do all have the size marked on them. And you get these little trays that I guess a lot of people would put into their toolbox. They do have the sizes stamped on the tray. But of course, they're just the same color as the black molded plastic, so they're not exactly high visibility. I don't actually leave the sockets in these trays. I make my own socket trays with a 3D printer. And I haven't had a chance to make any for these new Icon sockets yet, but You just design it out in CAD and then print it. And I can use a dual extrusion 3D printer so that I can get a separate color for the writing. And this one is in a fancy copper color. Most of the ones that I've done are not in a fancy color like this. I'll show a picture of the current state of my toolbox with all these organizers. And just taking a look at the actual fit of these, I'll pull out my Icon 1/4-inch ratchet. I picked this up a few months ago when they were having another sale. I tend to wait for Harbor Freight to do their good sales to pick this stuff up because I'm not in a rush to buy this stuff usually. But we'll see how it snaps in here. The fit is decent. There's a little bit of play. I've seen videos of some of the really high-end ratchets and sockets that have almost no play, but there definitely is a bit. It's not terrible. The ratchet on these Icon sockets is really smooth. I do like it a lot. Just for comparison, I'll show. This is a Amazon Basics 1/4-inch drive ratchet that I've had forever. Definitely more sloppy, and compared to the Icon, it's a night and day difference. The Icon, Amazon Basics. Icon, Amazon Basics. So significantly more premium feeling ratchet. And the Amazon Basics has the push button release. Icon does not have the push button release. This is the low profile non-flex head ratchet. And it's a solid driver, so maybe a little bit more annoying to push the sockets on and off, but one benefit of that is that because this is solid, it's stronger, and you, in theory, could apply more torque. Now, eventually, of course, you will just break the pawls on the inside, but it's not hard to take sockets off. And that is a very nice sounding ratchet. Now looking at the 3/8, it's the same story. Just pull this 19 out so you can see. Icon 19, and then there's an actual part number on there. This one says S20M19. This one says S20M18. I'm not sure what the 20 means. And I'll show this in the same. I also have the matching low profile 3/8 ratchet from Icon. Not a lot of play. If you really push on it, you can kind of feel the ball detent loosening, but not bad, especially not for the price of these. Also has that great smooth action. And just for comparison, here is a SATA 3/8 ratchet. Sounds about as bad as the Amazon Basics. It's the icon. The SATA. It's a night and day difference. Nice smooth action switching the handle, and it's kind of a nice touch. It says on and off, so if you want to put a fastener on, take a fastener off, and of course the cases are the same. Figured while we're here, I would pop this case off, take a look at the inside. This is just a T8 Torx. Using my Vera Craft Work. Just put out a review of this screwdriver. Handy little screwdriver. It's kind of nice that it has the magnetic tip, so I can just grab this plate with the magnet. It's convenient. So taking a look inside, plenty of grease on there. It's good. Got the direction changing switch. Just switches the way that these pawls engage. Switch it back the other way. And then just pull this out. So this is the actual driver, and like I said, it's a solid piece. So this is the benefit of not having the push button release, is that this is one solid piece of metal. So this is going to be much stronger than, if you can imagine, if there was a hole bored through the center of this driver, that you would have a significant amount of strength reduction. The machining on this does look pretty good. You can see some machine marks. I believe this is a 90 tooth. Take a look on the inside. You can see this is the tooth mechanism that grabs the pawls, and that's how you change it. Pretty simple design overall. Taking a look on the inside here. Those look like machine marks, but I think those are actually just grease marks. Let's see. Yeah, those are just grease marks from the driver. But pretty easy to service, we'll say. Not that you are going to need to be popping this open very often, but you can pop it open and throw some new grease in there. See if I can get this back together. I took it apart briefly off camera and it was very easy to put it back together. Of course, now I'm struggling. Okay, I got it. There's a little spring-loaded pin that pushes up on the little pawl mechanism. So I just had to make sure that was pushed in, and then I was able to slide this in very easily. All right, and then I'm not going to take the other one apart, but I would assume it's exactly the same on the inside. And yep, it does say 90 tooth. It says do not immerse in fluids. Because if you drop this in a bucket of diesel, you're going to dissolve away all your grease, and that's not going to be good. It does also have the part number stamped on the ratchet itself. And one more quick note about these sockets. I think I did read that you can purchase replacement singles. So if you lose one, of course, the first one to go is going to be the 10 mil. So as soon as this one walks away, supposedly you can order some more. And now I don't know if Harbor Freight keeps these in stock. You may have to go through their customer service to buy these replacements. And I also have no idea what the cost is. I'll do a little research, and if I can figure anything out, I'll put some text on the screen, maybe a link in the description of where you can get these replacements. Okay, so I started putting everything away, and then I realized that it wouldn't be very helpful for me to take the icon apart if I didn't also take the other ones apart and have a look at what their internals looked like. So I'm going to take them all apart. I'll probably speed up most of the action, but once I have them apart, we'll look at what makes them tick. The SATA has a snap ring design. So I'm going to use my trusty Pittsburgh snap ring pliers. And just real quick, these were a great deal. I bought these a long time ago, and this is the first time I've used them, but these are probably the cheapest feeling pliers I have ever seen. So I would probably not recommend buying these. I guess if you just really need some for like $5, then that's a good deal. But these honestly feel like they're about to fall apart in my hand just taking this little snap ring out. Let's see. Yep, that just falls right out. Okay. Got a little rubber O-ring. This is the Amazon Basics. Now the Amazon Basics does not use a T8 like the icon. It's using T10 Torx screws, and there's one on the front and two on the back. Oh, I may have spoke too soon. This one is a T10. These ones might actually be T8. Yep, the ones on the back are T8. So nice and gritty. Some thread locker on those. And this one, okay, this one just spinning. Not very much thread engagement on that last one. Okay, and that's the direction selection switch. faceplate off the Amazon. Okay. I'm going to see if I can pop this driver back in the SATA so that I can run through the gears of all of them. Okay. So let's take a look up close. This is the icon. Try to get this so you can actually see. Sounds pretty good. This is the SATA. And this is a 72, I believe. This little pawl mechanism has a 72 written on it. The gear selection switch works identically to the icon. They both have a solid driver that engages the teeth on the, or excuse me, a solid pawl mechanism that engages the teeth on the driver. You can see that this one is, because it's a push button, it has a hole bored through the center of the driver. And then let's take a look at the Amazon. So this is using a different design. This one actually has two separate pawl engagement mechanisms. I don't actually know what that little piece is called. The piece that engages the teeth, this thing. This has an R on it, R and L. This one's probably going to be a nightmare to try to get back in there. So yeah, you can see that the spring just sits in here, and the spring just pushes against this. I doubt I'm going to be able to get this back in there easily. Okay, I managed to get it back in there. So what I actually ended up doing is taking the spring out, compressing it with the pliers, putting this pawl driver in, and then sliding the spring into the side. And then with the direction changing switch back in, you can see how this works. So when you switch the direction switch, it's a triangular shape. You can see it changes the one that it's pushing on. Then if we switch it to the other side, now it pushes the left pawl driver away and it allows the right one to make contact. Definitely feels a lot cheaper than the other mechanisms. Even the SATA one. Let's take the SATA driver out. Let's take all three of them out actually and look at them. So the Amazon Basics, when you have them in there, they actually stay. They don't just fly out, even though it looks like they would. So we can look up close at the three different drivers. Icons on the left, SATA's in the middle, Amazon Basics on the right. The icon obviously looks pretty good. It's one solid piece. SATA, not one solid piece. Obviously the SATA's been used, so it's not brand new like the icon one is. I've only used the icon one a few times. This has that push button. And this is the Amazon Basics. This one is dry. This one needs some oil. I'll probably put some oil in this one before I close it back up. You can see how the push button works. So when you push this forward, it allows the ball detent to fall into the slot. It pushes it back out when you pull it out. So that'll be a spring-loaded mechanism in there. This one works the same way. And this one doesn't have push button. So let's see, I can't seem to depress this one. Surely this also has a spring in there, maybe with a pair of pliers. Yep, so with a pair of pliers I could get it to go down a little bit. Yep. So I'm not sure how they get this in there. They must press fit it in there. And it just must be a pretty tight tolerance so that it won't pop out. There's a little spring on the inside. Anyway, kind of just interesting how the different ones work. This one doesn't say how many teeth it has. Probably not going to take the time to count all the Amazon Basics teeth. So I'll get these put back together and I'll put a little oil in these two probably. This one's, the icon seems like it still has plenty of grease in there. So I'll just put some of this oil in there. This is just some 3-in-1 oil. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Well, still as loose and noisy as ever. Maybe slightly less noisy, but definitely not much. Oh yeah. That's significantly better. I think the Amazon gets points for sounding a little better after boiling it up. SATA, not so much. Still sounds just as bad as it did before I oiled it. All right, well, now that I've made a huge mess here, now you know how to take apart your SATA, Amazon Basics, or Icon ratchet. Like I said, leave me a comment if you have any knowledge on the history of these mechanisms. Like I said, these two, the SATA and the Icon, are about the same. They use the same fundamental design, but the Amazon Basics uses a completely different design, so I'd be interested to learn about that. Anyway, thanks for watching.